Recruits whispered about her past. No one knew for sure, until the base commander entered, stopped, and saluted. That one gesture changed everything they thought they knew about her. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Patterson had been assigned to Naval Special Warfare Training Center in Coronado for exactly 12 weeks. At 5 feet 6 inches with prematurely silver hair pulled back in a regulation bun and piercing blue eyes that seemed to assess everything with clinical precision, she moved through her nursing duties with the kind of quiet efficiency that made her blend seamlessly into the background. She carried her medical kit with practiced ease, treated injuries with expert care, and maintained the kind of professional demeanor that characterized experienced military nurses. To the SEAL candidates and training staff, she was simply their assigned medical officer, competent, reliable, and completely unremarkable. The candidates knew her only through brief medical interactions and hushed speculation. Ma'am, when they required medical attention, Commander Patterson, when discussing her among themselves, or the doc, in casual conversation. But there was something about her that sparked curiosity, the way she moved with military bearing that seemed more command-oriented than medical, the way she observed training exercises with tactical awareness rather than just medical concern, and the way she sometimes seemed to know things about military operations that went beyond standard nursing education. Lieutenant Commander Patterson's daily routine was methodical and professional. She arrived before dawn, reviewed candidate medical files with meticulous attention, attended training briefings where she asked surprisingly insightful questions about tactical procedures, positioned herself strategically during exercises, and provided medical care with efficiency that bordered on the surgical. Her competence was unquestioned, her professionalism was absolute, but her background remained mysteriously vague to everyone at the facility. But mysteries can be dangerous, especially when they involve people whose true qualifications remain carefully hidden. Welcome to Silent Salute, where we discover that extraordinary leadership often disguises itself behind routine professional assignments. Before we continue this incredible story, tell us in the comments which country you're watching from today. And if you believe that the most powerful leaders are often those who choose to serve without recognition, hit that subscribe button to support our channel. We're honored to share these remarkable stories with you. Class 301 was particularly challenging. 32 candidates from diverse military backgrounds, all enduring training designed to forge America's most elite naval warriors. The daily regimen was unforgiving, brutal physical conditioning, advanced tactical operations, underwater demolition training, combat simulations, and psychological challenges that tested every limit of human endurance and mental resilience. Through it all, Lieutenant Commander Patterson provided medical support with the same steady professionalism that had characterized her entire assignment. The candidates had developed their theories about her background. She was clearly more than just a standard military nurse. Her tactical knowledge was too sophisticated, her bearing too commanding, her observations too strategically oriented. But none of their speculation came close to the truth. Among the candidates was Chief Petty Officer Marcus "Ghost" Sullivan, a former Navy SWCC operator who'd served multiple combat deployments before applying for SEAL training. Sullivan was respected by his fellow candidates for his boat operations expertise and tactical acumen, but even he couldn't quite figure out Lieutenant Commander Patterson's background. "There's something different about Doc Patterson," Sullivan had mentioned to his teammate during their 10th week. "She knows things about maritime operations that go way beyond medical training. Sometimes I catch her watching our boat exercises with the kind of analysis that suggests operational experience." Petty Officer 2nd Class Alex Chun, who'd served as a surface warfare specialist before SEAL training, offered his perspective. "Maybe she served on ships before getting into medical. That could explain the tactical awareness." But Chin's theory didn't account for the depth of Lieutenant Commander Patterson's knowledge or the way senior instructors seemed to defer to her opinions on matters that had nothing to do with medical care. The situation that would reveal everything began during the 12th week of training when Class 301 was scheduled for Advanced Maritime Operations Assessment. This was one of the most critical phases of SEAL training, where candidates demonstrated their mastery of complex naval warfare techniques, underwater operations, and amphibious assault procedures that formed the core of SEAL mission capabilities. Lieutenant Commander Patterson was assigned to provide medical oversight for the maritime training evolution, positioned at her standard observation point, where she could monitor candidates for signs of distress while remaining ready to respond to emergencies. Her role was essentially what it had always been: professional medical support and emergency response capability. The training was being conducted at the Advanced Maritime Operations Facility, with realistic scenarios that tested every aspect of candidate capability. The exercises were carefully controlled, with multiple safety protocols and experienced instructors supervising every phase of the complex training evolution. During a break in the intensive morning training session, the facility received an unexpected visit from Rear Admiral James Trident Morrison, the commanding officer of Naval Special Warfare Command. Admiral Morrison's presence at the training facility was unusual. His responsibilities typically kept him focused on strategic operations rather than individual training evolutions. Admiral Morrison entered the maritime training area accompanied by his aide and security detail, scanning the facility to observe current training operations and assess the progress of Class 301. His visit was clearly official, with the kind of command inspection atmosphere that made everyone more attentive to their duties. As Admiral Morrison moved through the training area, his attention focused on the various aspects of maritime operations training: candidate performance, instructor methodology, and facility effectiveness. His observations were professional and routine until his gaze settled on the medical station where Lieutenant Commander Patterson was organizing her equipment. Admiral Morrison stopped walking. His entire demeanor changed from routine inspection to something much more significant: recognition combined with what appeared to be genuine surprise and profound respect. He stared at Lieutenant Commander Patterson for several long moments, as if processing something completely unexpected and highly significant. Then, without warning, he came to rigid attention and rendered a precise military salute with obvious reverence and respect. The salute wasn't the routine courtesy that senior officers showed to subordinates. This was the kind of salute that conveyed deep personal respect and recognition of exceptional service and sacrifice. Lieutenant Commander Patterson looked up from her medical supplies, and for the first time since her assignment to the training facility, her professional composure shifted noticeably. Her eyes met Admiral Morrison's, and something passed between them. A moment of recognition that suggested shared experiences and mutual respect that transcended normal military hierarchy. She returned the salute with equal precision and obvious respect, and when she spoke, her voice carried a warmth and familiarity that no one at the training facility had ever heard before. "Admiral Morrison," she said quietly. "It's good to see you again, sir." Admiral Morrison held his salute for several additional seconds, then slowly returned to a less formal posture. But his expression remained filled with obvious respect and what appeared to be amazement at finding her at the training facility. "Commander Patterson," Admiral Morrison replied, emphasizing her rank with clear significance. "I had no idea you were assigned here. It's an honor to see you again." The candidates and instructors who had witnessed this exchange were struggling to process what they'd seen. The quiet medical officer they'd known for weeks had just been saluted by the commanding officer of Naval Special Warfare Command, addressed with obvious personal respect, and treated with the kind of deference typically reserved for the most distinguished military leaders. Sullivan, who'd been closest to the interaction, approached Lieutenant Commander Patterson with obvious curiosity and growing respect. "Ma'am, that was Admiral Morrison who just saluted you. Have you two served together before?" Lieutenant Commander Patterson's response was carefully measured. "Admiral Morrison and I have crossed paths in previous assignments." But Admiral Morrison, still clearly moved by the unexpected encounter, was more forthcoming about providing context. "Cross paths?" he said, with obvious admiration in his voice. "Commander, that's a significant understatement." Admiral Morrison looked around at the candidates and instructors who were listening to the conversation, then made a decision about how much information to share. "Gentlemen," Admiral Morrison said, "you've been working with one of the most distinguished naval officers in modern special operations history. Commander Patterson isn't just medical support. She's someone whose leadership and courage have shaped the very foundations of contemporary naval special warfare." The revelation hit the maritime training area like a seismic event. The quiet medical officer they'd been taking for granted was actually a senior naval officer whose background exceeded anything they had imagined. Chen stepped forward with obvious respect and curiosity. Commander Patterson, ma'am, if you don't mind me asking, what was your previous assignment before medical duty? Lieutenant Commander Patterson seemed to be considering how much information to reveal, understanding that Admiral Morrison's recognition had already disclosed more about her background than she had intended. My previous assignments involved specialized naval operations that required both tactical leadership and medical expertise, she replied carefully. But Admiral Morrison, still clearly impressed by the encounter, was willing to provide additional context. Commander Patterson was the commanding officer of SEAL Team 6 Medical and Tactical Support Division during some of the most classified maritime operations in Naval Special Warfare history. Her leadership saved countless lives and accomplished missions that most people don't have the clearance to know about. The candidates were beginning to understand that their medical officer had command experience that far exceeded their own training and probably their future assignments. Leading SEAL Team 6 operations was among the most prestigious and dangerous assignments in the military. Sullivan asked the question everyone was thinking. Commander, how do you go from leading SEAL Team 6 operations to providing medical support for training exercises? Lieutenant Commander Patterson's answer reflected the complex career paths that characterize the most experienced naval officers. Naval careers involve multiple phases of service. Sometimes the most valuable contribution you can make is ensuring the next generation of SEALs receives the best possible training and preparation for operational realities. Master Chief Petty Officer Jackson, the senior training instructor who'd been observing the entire interaction, approached with obvious interest in understanding Lieutenant Commander Patterson's background and its implications for training operations. Commander Patterson, Jackson said, I'm beginning to understand that your background might be significantly more relevant to our training operations than we initially realized. Would you be willing to discuss how your command experience might enhance our training scenarios? Lieutenant Commander Patterson considered the question carefully, understanding that Admiral Morrison's recognition had fundamentally changed her role at the training facility. Master Chief, I believe my operational command experience could contribute to developing more realistic training scenarios that better prepare candidates for the complexities of actual SEAL operations. Jackson was clearly intrigued by the possibility. Commander, what specific aspects of training could benefit from your command experience? Maritime operations planning, team leadership under extreme stress, mission coordination with multiple assets, and decision-making protocols when standard procedures are insufficient for mission accomplishment. Jackson understood that Lieutenant Commander Patterson was offering to share command methodologies and operational insights that came from leading some of the most dangerous and successful missions in Naval Special Warfare history. The conversation was interrupted when the facility's emergency communication system activated, indicating a critical situation requiring immediate command attention. A training exercise at a nearby facility had gone seriously wrong, with multiple casualties requiring immediate medical evacuation and potential mission failure that could affect candidate safety and training continuity. All senior personnel report for emergency briefing, the facility's public address system announced. Critical incident at Training Facility Bravo. Immediate response required. The standard protocol would be for Admiral Morrison to coordinate the emergency response, while Lieutenant Commander Patterson remained focused on medical support for current training operations. Command decisions would be made by the senior officers, while support personnel maintained their assigned roles. Instead, something happened that shocked everyone who witnessed it. Admiral Morrison turned directly to Lieutenant Commander Patterson with obvious deference and respect. Commander, given your operational experience and command background, would you be willing to take tactical command of the emergency response? Your expertise with complex multi-asset operations makes you the most qualified person here to coordinate this type of crisis response. The request was extraordinary. Admiral Morrison was asking Lieutenant Commander Patterson to assume tactical command of a critical emergency response, effectively placing her in charge of operations that exceeded the normal responsibilities of medical support personnel. Lieutenant Commander Patterson's response revealed capabilities that none of them had suspected existed beneath her medical officer persona. Admiral, I'll need direct communication with all available assets, real-time intelligence on the incident site, and authorization to redirect resources as necessary for mission accomplishment. She replied with the kind of command authority that comes from extensive experience leading complex operations under pressure. What happened next demonstrated why Admiral Morrison had shown such obvious respect for Lieutenant Commander Patterson's capabilities and why her previous assignments had been classified at the highest levels. She transitioned from routine medical support to tactical command with seamless efficiency that revealed extensive training and experience in crisis leadership. Her approach was systematic, comprehensive, and designed to maximize operational effectiveness while minimizing risk to personnel. Master Chief Jackson, I need all available training aircraft repositioned for emergency medical evacuation. Chief Sullivan, coordinate with base operations for priority airspace clearance. Petty Officer Chun, establish direct communication links with the incident site and maintain continuous situation updates. Her command presence was absolute and immediate. The candidates and instructors who had known her only as quiet medical support were witnessing transformation into a tactical commander whose authority and expertise were unquestionable. The emergency response she coordinated was textbook perfect, a combination of strategic thinking, resource management, and personnel coordination that demonstrated extensive experience in complex multi-asset operations. Her decisions were rapid, accurate, and designed to accomplish mission objectives while protecting personnel safety. Aircraft Alpha 7, proceed to coordinates 32 to 4156, establish medical evacuation capability, and prepare for multiple casualty extraction. Ground units Bravo 3 and Charlie 5, secure perimeter and provide tactical support for evacuation operations. Medical teams Delta 1 and Echo 2, prepare for trauma care and immediate surgical intervention. Her coordination of the emergency response revealed command capabilities that exceeded those of most senior officers. The precision of her tactical planning, the efficiency of her resource allocation, and the effectiveness of her personnel coordination demonstrated operational expertise at the highest levels. Within 45 minutes, Lieutenant Commander Patterson had coordinated successful evacuation of all casualties, secured the incident site, and restored normal training operations with minimal disruption to ongoing programs. Her command performance had been flawless. Mission accomplished, she reported to Admiral Morrison. All personnel accounted for, casualties evacuated to appropriate medical facilities, incident sites secured, and normal operations restored. The maritime training area was completely silent. 32 SEAL candidates, multiple instructors, and a rear admiral stood in amazement, staring at a medical officer who had just coordinated one of the most efficient emergency responses they had ever witnessed. Admiral Morrison was the first to speak, and his voice was filled with the kind of recognition that comes from understanding exceptional command capability. That, Admiral Morrison said quietly, is why Commander Patterson was selected to lead SEAL Team 6 operations. She doesn't just provide medical support. She commands complex multi-asset missions with precision that saves lives and accomplishes objectives under impossible conditions. Sullivan approached Lieutenant Commander Patterson with obvious respect and amazement. Commander, where did you learn those command techniques? Lieutenant Commander Patterson was securing communication equipment while responding. Previous operational assignments required integration of medical expertise with tactical command responsibilities. You can't lead special operations teams if you can't coordinate all aspects of mission accomplishment simultaneously. Chen asked the question everyone was thinking. Commander, what kind of operations were you commanding that required those capabilities? Lieutenant Commander Patterson's answer provided insight into missions that most naval personnel never encounter. Maritime special operations in denied territory, multi-asset rescue operations, and mission coordination where traditional command structures were unavailable or compromised. Master Chief Jackson, who had witnessed the entire emergency response, understood that Lieutenant Commander Patterson's demonstration had revealed command capabilities that fundamentally changed her role at the training facility. Commander Patterson, Jackson said, I think it's time we discussed integrating your command experience into our advanced training programs. Lieutenant Commander Patterson accepted the expanded role, understanding that Admiral Morrison's recognition and the emergency response had revealed capabilities that could contribute to SEAL training in ways that had never been possible before. Over the following weeks, Lieutenant Commander Patterson transitioned from her cover assignment as medical support to active participation in advanced tactical training development. Her combination of medical expertise and command experience created training scenarios that were far more realistic and challenging than anything previously available. What we're developing, Master Chief Jackson explained to the training staff, is integrated command training that reflects the reality of modern SEAL operations. Medical emergencies occur during tactical missions. Command decisions must account for medical requirements. Leadership and medical expertise must be seamlessly integrated. Lieutenant Commander Patterson worked with the training staff to create scenarios that tested candidates' ability to make command decisions while managing medical crises, to coordinate complex operations while ensuring personnel welfare, and to maintain mission focus while adapting to changing tactical requirements. The operations I commanded, Lieutenant Commander Patterson explained to the candidates, required understanding that effective leadership integrates all mission requirements: tactical, medical, logistical, and strategic. Success depends on seamless coordination of every aspect of mission capability. Her training scenarios included realistic command situations where candidates had to coordinate medical evacuations while maintaining tactical objectives, leadership exercises where medical requirements affected strategic planning, and decision-making scenarios where command and medical responsibilities had to be balanced under extreme stress. Admiral Morrison, who had triggered the revelation of Lieutenant Commander Patterson's background, became a regular participant in the enhanced training programs. His strategic oversight was integrated with Lieutenant Commander Patterson's tactical command scenarios, creating training that reflected the complex coordination required for actual SEAL operations. Working with Commander Patterson again, Admiral Morrison told the candidates, reminds me why she was so effective as a SEAL Team 6 commander. She understood that successful operations require integration of all capabilities: medical, tactical, strategic, and leadership. The candidates quickly learned that Lieutenant Commander Patterson's command experience provided insights that enhanced every aspect of their training. Her understanding of tactical leadership, crisis management, and decision-making under extreme stress created learning opportunities that exceeded anything available through conventional training methods. Sullivan, who had initially been curious about Lieutenant Commander Patterson's background, became one of her most dedicated students. Commander, your approach to integrating command and medical responsibilities has completely changed how I think about SEAL leadership. You've shown us that the most effective commanders are those who can manage every aspect of mission requirements simultaneously. Sean, the former surface warfare specialist, was particularly influenced by Lieutenant Commander Patterson's perspective on maritime command. Ma'am, your experience has taught me that SEAL operations require commanders who understand every aspect of mission complexity, not just tactical requirements. The training programs that Lieutenant Commander Patterson developed were eventually adopted throughout Naval Special Warfare Command, establishing new standards for integrated command capability. Her methods influenced SEAL training worldwide and enhanced the effectiveness of special operations leadership globally. But perhaps Lieutenant Commander Patterson's greatest contribution was demonstrating that true command excellence required integration of multiple capabilities rather than narrow tactical specialization. Her experience commanding classified SEAL operations had provided insights that enhanced training for all special operations personnel. The story of Lieutenant Commander Patterson became legendary at the training facility, shared with new classes as an example of how extraordinary command capability often disguises itself behind routine professional assignments. Her example reminded candidates that in SEAL operations, the most valuable leaders are often those whose true experience and capabilities remain carefully concealed. The most important lesson you can learn here, instructors would tell new candidates, is that exceptional leadership often comes in unexpected forms. The person providing support might be someone who's commanded operations more complex than anything you'll ever encounter. Years later, when Lieutenant Commander Patterson transitioned to other assignments, her legacy lived on in the enhanced training programs she developed and in the understanding that true leadership excellence often requires maintaining operational security about command capabilities and experience. Her story reminded everyone that in naval special warfare, as in life, the most dangerous assumptions are those we make about people who seem to fit perfectly into support roles. Because the most exceptional leaders are often those who choose to hide their extraordinary command capabilities behind routine professional responsibilities. Lieutenant Commander Patterson's command background became synonymous with the integration of medical and tactical excellence, representing the highest standards of SEAL leadership capability and the understanding that the most effective commanders are those who can coordinate every aspect of mission success. Admiral Morrison's spontaneous salute had revealed not just individual capability, but a broader understanding of how the most exceptional naval officers contribute to developing the next generation of SEAL warriors. Her willingness to share command experience through training development demonstrated that true leadership continues long after operational command assignments end. The moment when Admiral Morrison had snapped to attention and rendered that respectful salute had lasted only seconds, but its impact continued for years, reminding everyone that extraordinary command capabilities often hide behind the most routine professional appearances, and that the people we take for granted may be the ones with the most important leadership lessons to share. This story was brought to you by Silent Salute. Before we leave you today, here's our question. Have you ever discovered that someone you knew in a support capacity actually possessed extraordinary leadership experience or command capabilities that they kept hidden? Have you encountered people whose routine professional roles concealed remarkable command backgrounds? Tell us in the comments about the moments when you realized you'd been working alongside someone whose leadership experience exceeded your own understanding. And if you believe that the most exceptional leaders are often those who don't need to advertise their capabilities, hit that subscribe button to support our channel. Every story reminds us that extraordinary command abilities often hide behind routine professional roles, and that the people we notice least may be the ones with the most to teach us about true leadership. We'll see you in the next story, where we'll discover another incredible tale of hidden expertise and unexpected revelation.